Dead weight doesn't get lighter with age, Miles. It just drags everyone down with it. Those were my father's exact words as he threw my suitcase onto the sidewalk, while my mother stood behind him, nodding like he just delivered some profound wisdom instead of destroying his youngest son. But the real question wasn't why they kicked me out at 18. It was why they thought I'd save them 7 years later when karma came to collect. My name is Miles Chen, and seeing my family living in their rusted sedan outside my Manhattan penthouse building would have been poetic justice if it didn't hurt so damn much. The night they kicked me out remains crystallized in my memory. June 15, 2016. I just graduated high school. Barely. While my older brother Nathan was heading to Yale Law and my sister Serena to Johns Hopkins Medical, I was the family disappointment. Dyslexic, struggled with traditional academics, spent my time drawing and building things instead of studying for SATs. "We've given you every opportunity," Mom said that night, her voice cold with disappointment. "Tutors, private schools, therapy. Nothing works. You're 18 now. It's time you learn to sink or swim on your own." But I got into art school. Art school? Dad laughed bitterly. "With what money? You think we're wasting another cent on your fantasies?" Nathan's law school, Serena's medical school. Those are investments. You're just an expense. I'm your son. No, Dad stood, towering over me. Nathan is our son. Serena is our daughter. You're dead weight. And dead weight doesn't get lighter with age, Miles, it just drags everyone down with it. They'd already packed my things. 1 suitcase, my laptop, and $200 in cash. Bus fare to wherever, Mom called it. No phone, that was on their plan. No car, that was in their name. No bank account access, they'd removed me that morning. Where am I supposed to go? That's your problem now, Dad said, already turning away. You're an adult. Figure it out. My siblings watched from the stairs. Nathan, 22 and perfect, shook his head like I'd brought this on myself. Serena, 20 and ambitious, wouldn't even meet my eyes. The family portrait on the wall behind them showed 5 smiling faces. By morning, they'd probably have it reshot with just 4. I stood on that sidewalk until dawn, suitcase at my feet, trying to understand how 18 years of being their son had ended with being called dead weight. The last thing I heard before the door locked was Mom telling Dad they should change the locks, just to be safe. I took a Greyhound to New York with $108 left after the ticket. No plan except a vague idea that artists went to New York. I spent the first night in Penn Station, the second in a 24-hour McDonald's, the third at a homeless shelter that terrified me so much I chose the streets instead. But desperation is a powerful teacher. I found work at a loading dock, cash under the table, no questions asked. Slept in a storage unit I rented for $50 a month, showered at a gym that didn't check membership cards too carefully, drew constantly on cardboard, napkins, anything I could find. One night, exhausted after a 16-hour shift, I sketched the loading dock crew on a piece of packing paper. My supervisor, Carlos, saw it the next day. "Yo, you drew this?" I nodded, expecting mockery. "This is good, man. Like really good. You ever think about doing comics?" Comics. I'd never considered it, but Carlos lent me his nephew's graphic novels. I devoured them, saw how visual storytelling could bypass my dyslexia, speak in images instead of words. I started creating my own comic during breaks, after shifts, in the storage unit by flashlight. A story about outcasts, about people society threw away who built something beautiful from scraps. Wonder where that inspiration came from. 6 months in, I showed my work to a comic shop owner in Brooklyn. He didn't buy it, but he knew someone who might be interested. That someone knew someone else. 3 rejections later, a small publisher offered me $500 for a short story in their anthology. $500. First money I'd ever earned from art. I cried in that storage unit, holding the check like proof I wasn't dead weight after all. The anthology did well. They wanted more stories. I kept working the docks, kept drawing at night, kept pushing. My second story earned $1,000. The third, $2,000. When I had enough saved, I quit the dock job and drew full-time, living on ramen and determination. My breakthrough came 2 years later. Discarded. A graphic novel about homeless teens with superpowers caught the attention of a major publisher. They offered a 3-book deal. The advance was more money than I'd ever imagined. $100,000. I moved out of the storage unit into a studio apartment, bought a real desk, ate vegetables for the first time in 2 years, and I kept creating, kept pushing, kept proving that art wasn't a fantasy. Discarded hit the New York Times bestseller list. The film rights sold to Netflix. Suddenly, the kid who couldn't pass algebra was flying to Hollywood for meetings. The sequel did even better. By book 3, I wasn't just successful, I was wealthy. I bought the penthouse as a 25th birthday present to myself. 42nd floor, floor-to-ceiling windows, a view of Central Park. The building had a doorman who called me Mr. Chen and meant it. The walls displayed original art by creators I'd idolized from that storage unit. Forbes noticed when the discarded franchise crossed $50 million in earnings. 30 under 30, Miles Chen turns rejection into empire. The photo shoot felt surreal. Designer clothes on the kid who'd worn the same 3 shirts for a year. That's when my family discovered what had become of their dead weight. The first contact came through Instagram. Nathan, now a corporate lawyer, suddenly interested in his little brother's life. Miles. Saw the Forbes article. So proud of you. We should catch up. I didn't respond. Serena tried next, commenting on every post. That's my baby brother. Always knew you were special. Miss you. I blocked her. Mom sent emails to my business address, each one rewriting history. We always believed in your artistic gifts. Tough love helped you succeed. Families should celebrate together. I marked them as spam. But yesterday, they escalated. I was returning from a charity event. We'd raised $2 million for youth homeless shelters when I saw it. A beat-up Honda Civic parked across from my building, hazard lights blinking. Inside, 4 familiar faces illuminated by a dome light. My family. They looked smaller than I remembered. Shabbier. Mom's designer clothes replaced with Walmart basics. Dad's commanding presence shrunk into hunched shoulders. Nathan's confident smile turned brittle. Serena's polished beauty hidden behind unwashed hair. I had my driver circle the block while I called building security. There's a suspicious vehicle across the street. Please monitor. Of course, Mr. Chen. We'll keep an eye on them. I entered through the garage, took the private elevator to my penthouse, and tried to process what I'd seen. Why were they here? Why now? Why living in their car? The answer came with the morning news. Dad's investment firm had collapsed, fraud investigation, assets frozen, clients suing. They'd lost everything. The house, the cars, the reputation. Nathan's law firm had cut ties. Serena's residency program had concerns about her family connections. From millionaire family to homeless in 6 months. And now they were parked outside my building because suddenly, the dead weight they discarded looked like a life preserver. My phone rang. Unknown number, but I recognized Nathan's voice immediately. Miles? I know you're there. We're downstairs. We need to talk. How did you get this number? Please, just 5 minutes. We're family. I hung up. 20 minutes later, building security called. Mr. Chen, the people in the vehicle are claiming to be your family. They're asking to be let up. Should we? No. If they don't leave, call the police. Understood, sir. I watched from my window as security approached their car. Saw Dad's face turn red with indignation. Mom crying. Nathan gesturing wildly. Serena slumped in the backseat. They didn't leave, but they stopped trying to get in. For 3 days, they lived in that car. I had groceries delivered, worked from home, avoided looking out the windows facing the street. But I knew they were there, waiting, hoping their dead-weight son would save them. On the 4th night, it rained. Heavy, cold October rain that turned streets into rivers. I stood at my window watching their car, fogged windows barely visible through the downpour. They'd thrown me out into a June night with nowhere to go. Now they sat in a car in October, and I was warm and dry 42 floors above them. The poetry wasn't lost on me, neither was the pain. My phone buzzed. Serena had somehow gotten my number. "Miles, please. We're cold and hungry. Dad's sick. Just let us explain." I stared at the text for an hour before responding. Giuseppe's Pizza delivers until 2 a.m. Shelter on 42nd Street has beds if you get there before 10. Are you serious? We're your family. I thought about responding. Thought about reminding her how she'd watched them throw me out. How none of them had called in 7 years. How family doesn't mean much when it's conditional. Instead, I donated $50,000 to that shelter on 42nd Street in their names. They'd have beds for a month if they swallowed their pride and took them. The next morning, their car was gone. Security told me they'd left around 3 a.m. after someone called about illegal parking. I didn't ask who called. We both knew. But they came back that evening, this time with a sign. "Miles, forgive us. Family helps family." The irony of that phrase, the same one I'd used when begging them not to kick me out, wasn't amusing. It was cruel. They'd redefined family to exclude me when I was a liability. Now they wanted to redraw the lines to include them when they needed help. I had my lawyer send a cease and desist letter to Nathan's last known address, a friend's couch, apparently. The message was clear: stop the harassment or face legal consequences. They stopped coming to the building but started a social media campaign. Successful artist abandons struggling family. Nathan gave interviews about how I'd turned my back on them in their time of need. Mom posted old family photos, carefully curated to show happy times before they decided I wasn't worth keeping. The narrative was simple: ungrateful son refuses to help desperate parents. They left out the part where they'd thrown me out. Left out calling me dead weight. Left out 7 years of silence until my success made headlines. My publicist wanted me to respond, tell my side. But I'd learned something in that storage unit, drawing by flashlight. The best revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's proving yourself right. So I didn't engage. Instead, I announced a new initiative. Full scholarships for young artists aged out of foster care or experiencing homelessness. Kids whose families have failed them. Kids told they were dead weight. Kids who needed someone to believe in them when no one else would. The first recipient was an 18-year-old girl from Detroit, kicked out for pursuing art instead of real career. The second, a boy from Houston whose parents said comic books were demonic. 10 kids in the first round, all with stories that echoed mine. At the scholarship ceremony, I spoke briefly. Dead weight is just potential energy society hasn't learned to value yet. These young artists aren't burdens. They're the future. And unlike some people, we won't abandon them when they need us most. The Forbes article about the scholarship program mentioned my family situation in passing. Suddenly, the narrative shifted. People who'd experienced similar rejections shared their stories. #DeadWeightSuccess started trending. My family's victim narrative crumbled against an avalanche of truth. Nathan tried one last time. A handwritten letter slipped under my door somehow. "Miles, I know you hate us. We deserve it. But hate doesn't have to mean cruelty. We're drowning. You have the means to help. Whatever we were, we're still your blood. Doesn't that mean anything?" Nathan. I kept the letter. Not from sentiment, but as a reminder. Blood meant nothing when they spilled mine on the sidewalk 7 years ago. Blood meant nothing when they changed the locks. Blood meant nothing when they told the world I was dead weight. But create a chosen family of artists, outcasts, and survivors. Support kids whose biological families failed them. Build something beautiful from the scraps society discarded. That meant everything. They eventually left New York. Last I heard, Dad was working at a call center in New Jersey. Mom taught piano lessons. Nathan did document review for minimum wage. Serena never finished her residency. Were they humbled? Maybe. Had they learned? Possibly. Did it matter? Not to me. Because here's what my family never understood. When you throw someone away, you don't get to reclaim them when they become valuable. When you call someone dead weight, you don't get to grab on when they learn to fly. When you kick someone out for being useless, you don't get to move in when they build a penthouse. They make their choice at 18. I made mine at 25. Both were final. The scholarship kids write me sometimes. Talk about their art, their struggles, their dreams. One letter stands out, from the girl in Detroit. They said I was wasting my life. Now I'm illustrating children's books. Kids who look like me finally see themselves as heroes. Thank you for believing in dead weight. I framed that letter. It hangs in my office next to the Forbes cover, next to the movie posters, next to all the success my family said I'd never achieve. Because that's the thing about being called dead weight. It only defines you if you let it. And I stopped letting my family define me the night they threw me out. Now, I define myself, and the definition doesn't include them. The penthouse is quiet tonight. Peaceful. I'm working on a new graphic novel about chosen families, about finding your people when your blood fails you. My actual family, the artists, the survivors, the other dead weights who became diamonds, they'll love it. As for the family living in their car, demanding entry to my life after 7 years of absence, they're just strangers who happen to share my DNA. And I don't open my door to strangers, especially ones who already proved they'd throw me out when given the chance. Family helps family, sure. But first, you have to act like family. And dead weight doesn't get lighter with age, it just learns to carry itself.